Welcome to this FinGraphs podcast on Dukascopy TV. Today we're going to look at cryptocurrencies and specifically at Bitcoin and Ethereum. We'll start with a mosaic on our fingraphs.com platform. The upper line shows the weekly graphs or the perspective over the next few quarters, and the lower line, the daily graphs or the perspective over the next few months. What we could see is that for now, Bitcoin and Ethereum are still in uptrends and quite strong uptrends, while on a daily basis, the uptrends are still there, but we seem to have entered an intermediate correction. Meanwhile, the ratio of Ethereum versus Bitcoin continues to recover, and we believe it could continue to do so over the next few quarters. While it is interesting to look at the Nasdaq, which is the ultimate growth trade, which we believe is related to cryptocurrencies, and which is still in an uptrend on both our weekly and daily graphs, but is getting quite overbought on our risk index, on the weekly graph as well as on the daily graph here. So our view is that we may see some correction in the Nasdaq and growth trades, and which could funnel down to some retracement on Bitcoin and Ethereum over the next few weeks. That said, the uptrends are still in place, and we would expect further upside into next spring on both cryptocurrencies. Let's have a look at them in detail. So first, at Bitcoin, which is still in an uptrend here on our weekly graph. We've had a strong correction into early summer, and then a nice recovery since then. We believe this consolidation range is still working its way, and that at some point into mid-late October, perhaps November, it should find support to move higher and test the highs it did this spring. The risk index is still quite low, so that's quite does leave some leeway to the upside. If we look at the daily graph, it is also still in an uptrend. We've had a nice correction up since July. We are now retracing. We believe that we could see a bit more of downside retesting here, probably not new lows, but our view is that we could probably make it back below 40,000, perhaps towards 35,000 over the next month or so, maybe the next few weeks, and then gradually build the base into late October, November, and then accelerate up into next spring. Our view is that we could indeed make new highs by then. If we look at the hourly graph, Bitcoin has been correcting for about a week. We can see that it made it below our corrective targets to the downside, so below support, and our impulsive targets to the downside are now pointing to between 39 and 35,000. So that would be the support points we would be awaiting into early mid-October. Now looking at Ethereum, also still a strong uptrend, and upside targets are leading us on the weekly graph towards 4,500, 4,800 into next spring. So still quite a bit of potential here over the next few quarters. On a daily basis, the reaction since July has been quite strong and has almost retested up to the highs it made back in May. We do believe here also that we could see some retracement over the next few weeks, probably into early mid-October, then build the base and resume the uptrend into next spring towards new highs and possibly towards 5,000. On the hourly basis, the correction here is still within the support levels, but it's quite close to them. And if it does break below these, which we think could be the case over the next few days, we could justify a sell-off towards the 2,700, 2,500 levels over the next few weeks. Again, we believe this is an intermediate correction. It doesn't quite fully retrace the reaction that we've seen since July. And then Ethereum gradually builds a base towards mid-late October, early November, and then moves up again into next spring. And looking at some altcoins, we thought it was interesting to look at the ones which were systematically stronger than Ethereum, which itself has been very strong over the last few months. And so Ethereum is in a downtrend versus Cardano, versus Atos, versus Tezos, and versus Ripple, where it is gradually rolling over. So these might be interesting altcoins to consider over the next few months. Thank you very much and have a good week of trading.